before?
He just came from Dallas, the World Championship Dallas Mavericks. We spent some time in New Orleans with Chris Paul for a while, and David West. I should have mentioned in our prior post that New Orleans does have David West. I mean, West and Paul was a very good 1-2 combo. That's why they made playoffs last year.
Right.
You said New Orleans didn't have any other players. That's why I was saying.
David West. I mean, I don't know who he is. Well, Vic, let's do a little more basketball talk and talk about round ball. Talk about our hometown guys, the New York Knicks.
Probably.
Yep, that's right. You should be used to seeing that visual every time we talk basketball.
Yes.
But let's talk about our guys, the New York Knickerbockers, who started to get a little bit better last year, bringing in Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah.
And after the big Amari Stoudemire signing the previous offseason,
Yep.
now we've added a third to the dynamic triple, or however you want to call it.
Yep.
Terrible trio.
Yeah.
Keep throwing out terms, right?
Triple threat.
The triple threat. The Tyson Chandler, part of the Tyson triumvirate, you could even call him, is now was traded for from the Mavericks, and he's now on the Knicks, and might give the Knicks that third guy that they really need to compete.
You better not call him Tyson Chicken.
I wouldn't do that.
So here's my issue with Tyson Chandler, with the Tyson Chandler signing. So Tyson Chandler's been a journeyman.
Mm-hmm.
He was drafted as part of the Baby Bulls back in the early 2000s, right out of high school, and never really lived up to that drafting lottery pick right out of high school hype.
Right.
All right. Dude, 7'1", long, athletic.
Yes.
He's already a 10-year veteran at the age of 29. My issue is that he's been a journeyman since then. Bulls, New Orleans Hornets, Dallas Mavericks, a couple other teams in between there. And now he's being positioned, because he won an NBA championship, he's being positioned as a savior defensively.
Right.
Clearly the New York Knicks have defensive issues. They have
Yes.
Amari Stoudemire, power forward, Carmelo Anthony, small forward. They do not have a defensive presence. Both of these guys are scorers. They don't have a guy in the middle, nor at the power forward position, who's more of a defensive stalwart. Tyson Chandler is being positioned now all of a sudden as like this defensive savior.
It's on his back. Yep.
Like he's Patrick Ewing from late 80s into the 90s. And he's not.
Right.
Tyson Chandler has averaged 9 rebounds over his career. He's averaged 1 block over his career. That's not defensive stalwart. What Tyson Chandler did was he provided a defensive presence for a Mavericks team that scored 110 points a game.
Right. Who's just a good offensive team with a best offensive team with just a strong all around. Guys like Dirk are strong defensive players anyway, to complement their great offense.
Yeah, well, they were over the top good offensive players.
Right.
Who needed a defensive presence, anyone to play some defense. So when they had one guy play some defense, all of a sudden he's like the defensive.
Yeah.
The Knicks aren't going to score 110, 115 points a game. It's not going to happen. So the problem that I see with Tyson Chandler is he's being positioned and paid as though he's the final piece of the puzzle, when to me he's a piece of the puzzle. We still need a point guard.
Yes.
We still need a 2 guard. One or the other. You can't have 5 amazing players. We still need a guy who's a spot-up 3-point shooter. Mm-hmm. So a spot-up 3-point shooter, a very good point guard, we're still those 2 players away, and Tyson Chandler's being positioned and paid as though he's the final piece. He brings us up to the salary cap, which means that basically we're riding our championship hopes on our front line, our 2 forwards and our center.
Right.
And here comes the parade of minimum salary veterans. We just signed Mike Bibby.
Yeah.
Mike Bibby was amazing clutch player in the early 2000s to mid 2000s. The guy's done at this point. Minimum salary veteran exception. Just got signed for $1 million. He's the type of player we're going to start seeing now on the Knicks.
And that's the problem, is because we've been hearing for a year now that a guy like Chris Paul or Deron Williams would fit in perfect with the Knicks, and they would. But with signing Tyson Chandler, who basically got a 30% pay increase because he won a championship on an already great Dallas Mavericks team, now you've shut out the chance on those 2 big point guards that are coming up in the market soon. And like you said, I mean, you're putting your chances all on those 3 guys.
And if he was who he's being hyped to be, I'd be good with it.
Right.
Because then we'd have the best front line in the game, and you could bring in some minimum wage players to play the guard positions.
Right.
But he's not the guy. He's not Pat Ewing. all right?
Yeah.
He's not, even Shaquille O'Neal was an amazing defender back in the day. He's not Hakeem Olajuwon. He's not Dwight Howard in the paint. He's not defensive player of the year material. He's just not. 9 rebounds, 1 block a game. It's just not. So I don't see him as being the final piece. So that could mean that the Knicks try to trade for an asset, bring that person on, give them the Larry Bird rule. Next thing you know, we go over the salary cap because we're allowed to due to the fact that the NBA has a soft cap.
Right. I mean, that's really the only chance for the Knicks this year. I mean, if they want to put together a full team out there. But you know what? I think they'll be better. You know, their conference is a
Fun
little
to watch.
weaker. It'll be fun to watch. You know, a lot of
They'll
points.
make the playoffs.
Exactly. Make the playoffs, and hey, once you get there, anything can happen.